Did the Washington Commanders get the steal of the draft in the second round with Johnny Newton at 36 overall? We're going to talk about that and the rest of the Commanders draft class here in our Commanders draft grades video. Really appreciate y'all tuning into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jaden Lugo. Let's go ahead and get this thing popping. With the second overall pick, the Washington Commanders selected quarterback Jaden Daniels out of LSU by way of Arizona State. There's a lot to talk about with this one, in my opinion. Look, Jaden Daniels was QB3 on my board. I had Caleb Williams as the clear-cut number 1 quarterback. I had Drake May as the clear-cut number 2 quarterback. You've got all the prototypical traits you're looking for from a guy: fiery spirit, competitive nature, and then Jaden Daniels was a good bit lower on my board. He was QB3, but he was lower, more mid to late first round grade on Jaden Daniels than what I had on Caleb Williams and Drake May. So for me, Jaden Daniels, that pick gets a C. Yes, he does have a talented arm. Yes, he did grow a lot during his time in college from a quarterbacking perspective. Like, he got better in the pocket, he got better at reading the field, all that stuff. Yes, he is a dynamic runner with the football. But to me, there's just not enough on the table in terms of true arm talent, in terms of creation ability. Like, this is a guy that as soon as he takes off out of the pocket, he's running the ball. You're not getting a guy who breaks the pocket, keeps his eyes downfield, and creates with his arm in that way all that often. It's usually a couple reads. If it's not there, I'm taking off. And the other thing about Jaden Daniels is he is undersized. And the thing about Bryce Young, who was undersized, is he wasn't taking on hits. Jaden Daniels consistently runs into contact with reckless abandon. That would worry the hell out of me if I was the Washington Commanders. So for me, not as good as Drake May, not even in the same tier as Drake May. So that gets a C. I hope it works out for Jaden Daniels. I like the kid a lot. You know, I think he showed a lot of growth throughout his college career. He does have a nice arm. He does have athletic ability. Probably will be one of the top 5 runners of the football at the quarterback position as soon as he gets in the league. But I don't see it at number 2 overall. At 36, what I mentioned at the top of the show, Johnny Newton, defensive lineman out of Illinois. This one was a home run for me. I mean, this gets about as high as grade as it could, A+. I thought he was a blue chip talent in this class. I know a lot of folks talk about his arm length or the fact that he wasn't able to test, or maybe there's injury concerns. Bottom line is, pop on the tape. Johnny Newton is an unstoppable force. He's a wrecking ball. He's technically sound. He's flexible. He's explosive. He reads the game extremely well. He defeats blocks at the line of scrimmage with ease, with quickness, with haste. He's flexible enough to bend at the top of the arc. I think he has positional versatility. He'll stop the run for you. He'll create pass rush. I think that Johnny Newton was a great pick for the Washington Commanders. It does make things a little bit murky with their defensive line group because they've got now more bodies than they know what to do with at defensive tackle. We'll see how that plays out. But just from a acquiring talent perspective in the second round, I think Johnny Newton is going to end up being the steal of this draft. Point blank. At 50 overall, defensive back Mikey Sanders, still out of Michigan. This is an A- for me. This is a guy that can move around the defensive backfield, can align in the nickel, can play some safety, can also align out wide and some zone looks for you. I think that he is very instinctive, very smart, decent athlete, not great size, but a guy that will improve your secondary and will provide versatility. So an A- getting him at 50 overall. At 53, tight end Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State. This is a B for me. I love the skill set. Quite frankly, I just think that there were better players at more important positions for you. Like, you have questions up front on this offensive line. You have questions at offensive tackle. I think that they could have done a better job making sure that Jaden Daniels is going to have time in the pocket, because he needs time in the pocket to be able to find these receivers that they do have down the field. But Ben Sinnott, I like the player a lot. I think he is a very useful and valuable receiving weapon at tight end who also has some blocking versatility, can move around the formation. So that one's a solid B, even though I think the player earns more of a higher grade than that in the second round at 53 overall. I don't value the position that they took there, again, with their current build. At 67, offensive lineman Brandon Coleman, yes, they finally go to address the offensive line. For me, that's early for Coleman. He does have guard tackle versatility. I think he's going to play guard at the next level because I don't think he has the feet, the lateral agility, the foot quickness to play tackle in the NFL at a high level. So you're talking about adding a guard to a team that is already better on the interior than they are at tackle. Questionable for me. That's a C+. And also, I had him as a 4th round grade. They drafted him, basically into the 2nd round, beginning of the 3rd round. I don't like that. I really don't. I do think he can be a valuable piece, maybe a starter at guard, maybe a depth piece across the entire front, guard and tackle. Not going to be a center, but I just don't really see the value there. And then at 100, Luke McCaffrey, this is a wide receiver I like. He does carry the McCaffrey name. He plays like a McCaffrey. He's tough as nails. You see him go up and get footballs over the middle of the field while he's just getting absolutely decked by a safety, comes down with them. I like the potential, but again, I think it's a little early. You're drafting him over someone like Troy Franklin, over someone like Javon Baker. I don't really see that at the wide receiver position. We'll see how it plays out. That's a C for me. And then your last 3 picks on day 3, 139, linebacker Jordan Meggie out of Temple, 161, safety Dominique Hampton out of Washington, 222, edge Javonte Jean-Baptiste out of Notre Dame. I like all these picks. They all add athleticism to the defensive side of the ball at every level, really, right? Edge, safety, linebacker. You're addressing your defensive front. You're addressing your linebacker room and your secondary, adding, again, very good athletes at all 3 spots that have shown flashes on tape that get you very excited. So I like all 3 of those swings. All 3 of those swings are a B for me. None of those guys is like elite on tape, but there's enough to get you excited. And then you talk about that combined with the athleticism. I think that you can feel really good about what they did on day 3 for that defense. So putting all those grades together, for me, the Washington Commanders get a B-, 83, high B-, right? But it's a B- nonetheless. Now, because the Commanders had 9 bites at the apple, 9 throws at the dartboard, if you will, if they just hit on 4 or 5 of them, about half or 40% of them, it's going to be a great draft. But one of those hits has to be Jaden Daniels. Cannot take a quarterback at 2 overall and him not hit and then it be a good draft class. Bottom line, you have put your eggs in that basket, and the bottom line is for him to be a quality 2nd overall pick, he's going to have to become an upper echelon quarterback in the first 3 years of his career. I think he has the receiving core to do that. When you talk about, the guys that they already had, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, you add Ben Sinnott, you add Luke McCaffrey. I like that collection of receivers. They have a good running game, what should be a decent running game at least. They have talent in the running back room. He has an okay offensive line, I guess. I don't love the offensive line. That scares me. The defense has a really nice front. I think that they added talent throughout that defensive roster, defensive depth chart. I don't think he's in a great situation, but I do think he's in a better situation than Bryce Young was in last year. He at least has very good receivers, very good targets to throw the football to. And I think, with his skill set, Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson can kind of eat downfield. And I think Luke McCaffrey can as well. I think that he can find Ben Sinnott as well in the intermediate areas of the field. I don't like picking him over Drake May. He's just not nearly as talented, in my opinion. And that's going to, this draft is going to hinge on whether A, Jaden Daniels is good enough, and B, they support him enough. Those are going to be interesting questions. But Johnny Newton in the 2nd is absolutely insane to me. Steal of the draft. I just love that for them. It's a good class overall. I think it's something to build around. I'm still not ready to say that this is a team that can compete for the playoffs because I don't believe in the offensive line as it's currently constructed. I think that they're in a tough division overall. I think the NFC got better this year. But if Jaden Daniels is who they think he is with the 2nd overall pick, this is going to end up being a great draft class. If not, and if they can't support him, which I have questions about, it could end up being another disappointing era for the Washington Commanders. We will see how it plays out. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're a Commanders fan, let me know what you think about this draft class. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.